Before we go, I want to talk about the return of Game 39. Now, I use that shorthand because a few years ago, people may remember that the Premier League was in discussions for something called Game 39, which would have been an additional game to the 38 game regular season, with the extra game being played in the United States. Now, that was howled down by supporters, and I would be one of those howling them down. There is within English football a belief that supporters should, if they wish, be able to attend every game, home and away, notwithstanding the illogic of an additional game that stood outside of the 38 regular league matches. However, I think only last year, one of the directors of Fenway Sports Group, the owners of Liverpool, talked up the possibility once again of matches in the Premier League being played not only in the United States, but in other countries of the world as well. And there's a court case in the United States, which was brought by a company called Relevant, who are a US sports promotions company, who wanted to host a La Liga game in the United States. And they were blocked both by FIFA and the US Soccer Federation. However, Relevant, having brought this court case, have now been successful. So that in the US anyway, in terms of their legal structure, seems to clear the way for European league games, and who knows, possibly the Premier League, therefore, being played in the United States. So how significant do you think this court ruling is?
Well, actually, the most significant thing about it is FIFA climbing down on it. It's FIFA saying that they are now removing their objections to domestic league games being played in a different country. Right. Now, Relevant is a very large company. It holds the US rights to quite a number of leagues, including the EFL, by the way. It's the EFL's distributor. Now, I don't know if you remember, Adrian, earlier in the season, the owners of Birmingham and Wrexham floated the idea of playing Birmingham Wrexham game in the US, and that was, again, like you say, shot down, poo-pooed, whatever it might be. But it shows that this is an idea that is out there. And now you've got to look at also at the increasing preponderance of American ownership of clubs in not just our ecosystem, but also in other ecosystems like Italy, for instance. And therefore understand that gradually, as these owners come into the voting structures of leagues, these types of ideas not only get floated more often, but they start to gain more support, more widespread support, because there are more owners who come from that background, right? So let's say you go back 15, 20 years and there are two or three American owners in a particular division, and there are 21 or 22 British owners or whatever in that division. And the American owner says, gee, why don't we play one of these games in the US? It would be just great. And the English owners go, well, no, you don't understand, mate. That's just not the way it works. Now, fast forward to these days, when in an English division, you may have more than half of the owners in that division being American. And these types of conversations happen much more often. In fact, I know that only recently Relevant held a workshop with US-based EFL owners in America. Now, I don't know what was discussed at that meeting. I'd left Charlton just by that point. This is very, very recently. But it would be strange if this is the type of topic that wasn't discussed at that type of discussion. Now, up until this point, of course, a league's executive could just point to the FIFA rules and say, well, that can't happen. But now that that's been removed, it will become a more active discussion. Now,